Hello and welcome to Math 8, Unit 1A, Lesson 2. The objective today is that scholars will understand square roots and use them to solve real-world problems. So we're going to be talking about square roots today. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to find the area of each of these squares. Notice each square has a side length written. Please find the area of each square. Pause the video now. Okay, at this point you should be done. So let's talk about how we find the area of a square. This blue square right here, and I'm going to do this work in blue to make it easy, has a side length of 4 centimeters. So to find the side length, we do 4 times 4, which we could also write as 4 squared, which tells us the area of this square is 16 square centimeters. Let's go to this red one. It has an area of 5 meters. Again, so we define the area or side of 5 meters. So we do 5 times 5, which is also the same thing as 5 squared. So to find the side of the square, we just take the side length and we square it. That's why we call it squaring. Well, 5 squared is simply 25, and it is meters squared. Don't really have a purple crayon, so we're going to use yellow for this one. So this one has a side length of 12 millimeters, so that is 12 times 12, otherwise known as 12 squared. 12 times 12, or 12 squared, is 144 millimeters squared. And this last one has a side length of 9 yards. Again, 9 times 9, which is the same thing as 9 squared, tells us the area of this square is 81 square yards. Okay, so now we know how to find the area of a square. What if instead I give you the area of the square and I want you to tell me how long each side is? Pause for a minute and try to do these on your own. Okay, hopefully you paused. So let's talk about this. This square has an area of 36 centimeters. I know that if I want to find out how big the square is, I do the side length, which in this case we're going to call the side length x. So it should be x squared must be 36. Well, there's something that's the opposite of square. It's called taking the square root. The symbol looks like this. So if I put x squared and take the square root, is you give me x. And the square root of 36, what times itself equals 36? You can actually put that in your calculator. The square root of 36 is simply 6. Nice and easy. Let's try it with our next one. Here I have an area of 64 centimeters. So I know that x squared equals 64. I'm going to take the square root of both sides, so the square root of x squared equals the square root of 64. If you don't know how to do this on your calculator, you can come see me. So x equals 8, because 8 times 8 is 64. So let's look at this next one. Here I have an area of 100 centimeters. Cubic centimeters, sorry. So, again, x squared equals 100. Take the square root of both sides. The square root of x squared is going to be x. The square root of 100 is 10. So I get x equals 10. And finally, here my area is 75. So I have x squared equals 75. So when I take the square root of both sides, the square root of x squared equals the square root of 75. Well, when I put, that was not a pretty 5, was it? So let's try this one, 5. There we go. So if I put the square root of 75 into my calculator, I'm going to get 8.660. So I could leave this as x equals the square root of 75, or I can give an approximation. X approximately equals, see how my equal sign is sort of wavy? That means it's approximately equal to 8.66. Okay? And we'll get more into approximating those later. Okay. So what is the relationship between the side length of a square and its area. So if we know the side length, we find the area by squaring it. Side length squared, or S squared. If we know the area, we can find the side length by taking the square root. Remember that square root? The square root of the area. So in this case, my side length is 4 yards. 4 squared equals 16 is my area. The area is 16 yards. The square root of 16 equals 4. Okay, so now let's talk about how we can apply this in the real world. So, I'm fencing off an area of my yard to make a square garden. So first of all, I know it's square. I have 20 feet of fencing to create the garden. What is the area of the largest square garden that I can make? Okay, so let's think about this. I have some information here. I'm going to highlight it real quick. So I'm making a square garden. I have 20 feet of fencing, so that'll go around it. So let's think about that. I'm going to draw a little picture to help me. I have a square garden. Make this sort of look like a square. Okay, so here's my square garden. I know that all the sides on a square are the same length. So I'm going to say that is x plus x plus x plus x. Sorry, I like using x's. They're easy. So I know that x plus x plus x plus x has to be 20 feet. I know that because that's how much fencing I have. And the fence has to go all the way around. So I know 4 x's has to equal 20. Okay, so if 4x equals 20, to solve this, I'm simply going to divide both sides by 4 and get x is 5. So remember, x is my side length, so I haven't answered the question yet. X is my side length. So if I have a square with a side length of 4, the area equals 5 squared. So 5 squared, 5 times 5 is 25. And this is square feet because I noticed my units were in feet up here. Okay, so my garden is 25 square feet. One last problem. Okay, so I have a square garden. We got more squares. The garden has an area of 125 square feet. And I want to surround it with a fence to keep animals out. How much fencing do I need to enclose my garden? So we've talked about the fact fences go all the way around. So my fence is going to have to go this side plus this side plus this side plus this side. So first I need to find out how long each side is. I only know that the area is 125 square feet. So to go from area to side, I take the square root. So the square root of 125, and if I put that in my calculator, because that's not going to give me a perfect square root. So the square root of 125 is approximately 11 point, let's say 18. We'll give 2 decimal places. 11.18. So that's how long one side is. One side is 11.18. But I have how many sides? 1, 2, 3, 4, because this is a square, right? So I had to do 4 times 11.18 to get my answer. When I put that in, 4 times 11.18 in my calculator, I get 44.72. Again, I know my unit is feet, so I need 44.72 feet of fencing. Okay, so go ahead and do your practice problems, and I will see you in class.